We're back with buy, sell, hold on some tight ends. You were mentioning it. I think people get confused about tight ends, either overvaluing them or undervaluing them or whatever. So we're talking about that in today's video. We got two tight ends that I think can be, honestly, even though the first one is Goedert, can still be used for rebuilding teams. Maybe not rebuilding, but definitely for contending, but maybe a soft rebuilding team. He's 29.4, so this is his age 29 season coming up. Keep Trade Cut has him all the way down at tight end 18. Startup value is mid to late 11th round as the tight end 15 in a super flex non-tight end premium. And essentially, an early third this year in 2024 is what he's valued as. And you look at the numbers, he's basically been a tight end 1 in terms of points per game the last 3 years. 9.1, tight end 9. 9.5, tight end 5. 7.6 last year, but was still good for tight end 13, which just tells you a little bit about the tight end position. That is half PPR. Brian, buy, sell, hold. Good Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, easy buy.
We
were kind of talking about this before we started, and it's like, all right, hit the record button because we're just going to say all this all over again. Age, again, not a concern here. He's a tight end, if he was a running back, he would be scared. But, these guys play a lot longer. He might just be hitting his prime. Who knows? But no, the dude's good. He's had injury-riddled history, kind of. I mean, missed 3 games last year, 5 games the other year. Before that, in 2020, he missed, I guess it was probably a 16-game season, so he missed 5 there. So he misses games, but he's an easy dude to put in your lineup if you have him on your roster. You don't really question it unless you have, one of these other elite guys, Hawkinson, Andrews, even Kincaid, Laporta. It's Kelsey, obviously. It make that those guys. If you can only start one, then you definitely have some questions. But looking at the Keep Trade Cut list of him down at 18, we were kind of talking about this, and it's there's 5 guys in front of him that I would put him in front of for sure. I know everyone's falling in love with the rookie Ben. Is it Sinnott or Sinnott? I don't know.
Sinnott.
Yeah. Him. He's 5 spots ahead of Goedert. I don't get that. That's rookie fever still invading the rankings. The next guy we're going to talk about, Cole Kmet, he's up there. It's I would have easily Goedert over that. Musgrave, I'm not going to go through the whole list, even though I just went through half of it. But the point is, he is undervalued. The dude demands targets, even playing with 2 stud receivers on the team. He is a part of the offense. He is going to continue to be part of the offense. And overall, he is just good. He's not going to be that, he's not going to finish tight end number 1 overall, but that's not the price you're paying for him either. A late second, an early third, it's easy,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not, like you said, I'm not too worried about him in that offense. I know you think how is he going to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith? And it's well, just look at his 2022 numbers, and even last year, but 2022 in 12 games, 55 catches and 700 yards. That's a good season for a tight end in 17.
Yeah.
So that's basically almost 78 catches and essentially 1,000 yards is what he was on pace for. So yeah, he just continues to produce. He's going to continue. I actually went back, was looking at age and stuff, and we talked about this. I think there are times in which we put too much value into age, and I think this is a case of that. Of once again, Luke Musgrave's the biggest one on that list ahead of him. For me, it's why? I don't even know if Luke Musgrave's the tight end 1 on his own team. But it's just because of the age. And, I went back and looked at from 2010 to 2013, every tight end to finish in the top 10 in their age. And about 40% of those in the top 10 were 28 years or older. So a good chunk of them. And then in the top 5, it actually went up to 40%. Now, I know Kelsey has a lot to do with that. George Kittle. And then in the mid to early 2010s, you had guys like Delaney Walker, Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez. But you also have to take into account there's not a lot of tight ends playing to 30 years old. So like the pool of the numbers already lower. So I think it's a little bit impressive to see that number at like 40% or so. Essentially, if you're good and you play into your age 30, early 30s, like you're going to continue to be good as a tight end unless you get into a major injury. So yeah, it's a buy for me for sure. I'd send, I think you can get him even cheaper than the 301. I think someone would take the 305, the 306 for him, like during the draft, like you said, rookie fever, like people would be all over that and just like, okay, there's my tight end solved, or a trade down, right? Fryermuth to Goedert and I get a third or something. So yeah, definitely a buy for me. We'll see. Maybe he can get a plus touchdown year too. He's never been a big touchdown guy, which I think is hurt his like high end upside. He never had more than 5 in a season. So but you never know.
A lot of competition for touchdowns on that team, between the receivers and Hurts himself. So I get it, like why he's not getting them, but I mean, look how good he's doing without him. Like you said, if that just swings a little bit more in his favor, like he's gonna finish as a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, you look at those 2021 numbers. Don't forget that was 4 games, I believe, with 1, 2, 3, 6 games with Zach Ertz on the team. So if you take all those out, I'm sure he would have been back-to-back years of like a top 5 guy. So, definitely a buy. And we're definitely putting too much stock into, he's 29 years old. So,
55, 60 catches and 600 yards as a floor is great for a tight end. And I've even kind of like nerfed those numbers a little bit. I think his floor is actually a little bit higher than that, but I'm not going to bore you guys too much with math. Like, he's buy him.
No, I mean, you said what, 55 to?
Yeah, I lowballed it a little bit.
I
just said 55 and 600, 55 catches, 600 yards. And he's been better than that. He's better than that last year and he only played 14 games, That's what he does better than that 2 years ago when he only played 12. So definitely.
And the Zach Ertz here,
Yeah. So there it is.
Cole Kmet is the next one. I think a lot of people have strong feelings about him. 25. He just turned 25 a couple months ago. He is the tight end 13 according to Keep Trade Cut, going as the tight end 13 in startup drafts. ADP 10-11. That's kind of interesting. Oh, okay. About half a round or so difference between Goedert and Kmet. Essentially, he's worth a late second, either in 2025 or this year. And you see his numbers, they have improved every year from 5.4 to 7.2 to 8.5. He was in points per game, the tight end 8 last year in half PPR. So, buy, sell, hold with Cole Kmet.
I'm going to say a buy also. I'm not super high on Kmet. I'd rather have Goedert, which kind of, he's one of those guys on the list where I'm like, oh no, I'd rather have Goedert. It's got to be the age thing, I guess, and like you said, like we've seen solid improvement we've seen improvement, I guess, each year of his career, basically, which is great. I don't think we mentioned it. I was definitely thinking it earlier, but, they say that playing tight end is like the hardest position to transition from college to the NFL. If you think about like what a tight end does besides catch the ball, which is what we care about, obviously, but them blocking and just like they just they're asked to do so many things. I'm sure it's like pretty confusing and tough to like actually know what you're supposed to do like every time, because it's not like you're just like running routes constantly or anything like that. Like, it's a very nuanced position. So it's good to see the improvement. The guy's only been in, he's played every game his entire career, which is really interesting. I just kind of noticed that right now. Every game he's played. And, I think like the things that are kind of going against him are obviously there's a ton of target competition with a rookie quarterback on this team now, right? Like he was he the number 2 basically last year? I'm trying to think who else was on the Bears besides DJ Moore. Like
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
But I think it was Kmet, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not going to be the case, So he's not going to have like that upside, I mean, he's going to be out targeted by at least 2 of those receivers, DJ Moore and oh God, why did I forget his name? Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Like those guys are going to out target him, for sure. And that's a little bit of a knock. I don't know about Odunze, but I wouldn't be surprised if he out targets him as well. Plus, they have DeAndre Swift, so there's a lot more competition on the team for this year. But we don't know. We just don't know what that's going to translate into. So if you're paying a late second for him, I don't mind that. I'm not super excited about it. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'd rather have Goedert, but
yeah, he is an interesting one because again, has improved every year. Still pretty young. You mentioned it with tight ends, and I talked about it with the tight ends over the 28 or older. Well, another interesting little nugget is 50% of top 10 finishes for tight ends over the last 14 years have come from tight ends ages 24 to 28. 24 to 27. So that 4-year range there of 24 to 27 is like the prime. This is where you want tight ends to be, like literally making up 50% of the top 10 finishes and even more of the top 5 finishes, I think. They were, I forget the exact number, but so he's right in the middle. He played last year as a 24-year-old, this year as a 25-year-old. He's right in that prime. He finished as a top 10 guy. He was 24 years old. So, it points to we should not overreact when tight ends don't do well when they first come in and, to try and get these guys when they're age 24 to 27. But also, you talked about the target competition. There was only 4 teams last year where the tight ends didn't account for 15% or more of the target share. And 2 of those teams was the Broncos, and it's like Alden Troutman was their tight end, and the Dolphins with Durham Smythe was their tight end. Like 2 kind of bad tight ends. Like Cole Kmet's much better than those guys. So only 4 teams. So you assume he's going to get at worst a 15% target share. So I think he will be number 3 because I'm just trying to think like, is the third receiver, is like a Odunze really going to get 15% with like Keenan Allen? Maybe. I don't know. But again, I assume he's going to get at worst about a 15% target share. 13 to 15 because it's tight ends. He's not going to get all the tight end targets, but he'll get majority of them. So but I think I'm going to sell, actually. I think I would take any second for him. It's just kind of my thought and process with tight ends. Like these tight ends in this range, these, tight end 13s to 16, 17, 8, like I'll take value. I'll take second round picks for him when I can. And so if someone wants to give me a 20-25 second for Kmet, I will take it. So I think he's going to have to get there through touchdowns this year, which he very well could. Because you think about like Keenan Allen is not a huge touchdown guy, right? Like he's never had double digits, 6, 4, and 7 the last 3 years. DJ Moore, not a big touchdown guy. Last year was his best at 8. So he could get there with touchdowns. Cole Kmet, I think, 7 and 6 the last 2 years. So I think if he is going to be a top 10 in tight end, though, he's going to have to do it through touchdowns. So, anything else with those guys?
Again, with the touchdown thing, it's, rookie quarterback, so we don't know how many touchdowns Caleb's going to throw. We'll say 20 is like a safe bet, and once you start saying like 25 or something, it's like I might just bet against that. Just not because
There's only been 4.
What's that?
There's only been 4 rookie quarterbacks that throw 25 or more in the history of the NFL.
Oh,
So
Herbert.
Peyton Manning, Russell Wilson, Mayfield, and Herbert's number 1.
I was going to say Herbert. Yeah, like that's the only one that I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. I mean, even C.J. Stroud last year, 23. I know he missed a couple games there, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, how many did Jordan Love throw? He was basically a rookie. No, I know that doesn't count.
He was second in the NFL.
Yeah, did he throw like 32? I was just looking at this last night.
Yeah, 32.
All right. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead. Wrap it up.
No. Yeah, no. That's it. It is important to. We didn't really talk about it. Like, it is a rookie quarterback. Like, so, like you said, the odds of him throwing 25 or more. I forget what his over under is on touchdowns, but the odds of him throwing 25 or more are low. Are low considering only 4 have done it. So in the history of the NFL, I'm trying to see if I can pull up. Oh, it's 22.5. It looks like is his number. So let's just say he hits that. He throws 23. You know, even 25% of that, that's only 6 touchdowns. You know, like,
yeah.
So he could. I don't know. It could be a tough season for Kmet, which is why I think I'd take just any second for him.
Fair enough.
But yeah, that's it. Goedert, buy him. Kmet, I'm not going to be upset if anyone buys him for. And again, you know, these are put into a trade calculator, and I just feel like, okay, yeah, it's like the Disney VHS tapes are going for $10 million. Like, well, someone has to buy that, right? Like, you can list it as $10 million.
I was just asking my sister-in-law about that last night because I was getting rid of a bunch of Disney VHS a couple of years ago, and she was like, "You can't get rid of these; they're worth money." And I was like, "You can have all of them." And I asked her, I just randomly brought it up last night, and I was like, "So, did you ever get rich off of those, or what?" Like,
yeah.
And she basically said, "F you."
No. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you can list the 211 is equal to Cole Kmet, but someone has to buy that. I think you could get them cheaper, which I would be okay with doing. So, but there we have it. Sell your VHS tapes. Tell us if you made millions. And we'll be back with more of these. I think they're kind of fun to look at. Some of these, again, most of the guys we talked about in all 4 of these videos that we've been putting out are guys that I think both rebuilding and contending teams could use. So, as always, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.